There once was a dragon and a knight, they may say, who did play and slay one livelong dialogue day in May. The knight's bold horse strode along the cold old road, a clay way for a dray or a sleigh when it snowed. A load of hay to be sown or towed with a ray from a fool of a mule, or a neigh from a grey draught horse, to delay or go astray or off course through bad weather and the heather and gorse. The knight's aim was to claim a share of fame without blame, to maim or tame a dragon. What a game! He was rash, he had dash, he was a fool, if not a ghoul, to seek such a cruel duel. He was no weak Greek, no stout Celt, for a firm worm to squirm over and seek his pelt, to belt and to melt with flame and fire. Yet his future was dire, he had not the power to meet or to beat the master of heat and disaster, who was fleet, faster and faster by far with his power or his mark. He could melt tar in a trice, or fried rice with spice so nice in a jiffy, which would smell whippy, and the taste would be iffy. What a waste to baste in such haste! Himself he'd be berating for creating and cremating, by racing not abating, by cooking without looking a pie or dish of rye, or a fish if 'twas his wish. But a morsel with more savour to sear into an saucer, without fear or favour, with flavour to beat meat of deer or beaver. A treat to eat with clear beer for good cheer, was a bite of a night toasted and roasted, to burn to a turn for a belly not an urn, pressed in an intestine you wouldn't want to guest in, to depart sans heart as part of art. The chevalier sought shelter from the soaking rain in vain, he rode many a mile in vile style for a while. He lurched in the saddle as he searched for an inn in which he could sin. He had a thirst only a wench could quench. He was single, cunnilingual, a consummate quimmerimmer, a trimmer of a tongue, well hung, and generous juices to mingle. The nub of this tale, he found a pub with pale ale, of which he quaffed a quart. Then he sought fair Freya with a female veil, in which she kept her talk forth for a male. He gazed over his beer with a leer and a grin full of sin. He was in, he had pulled over the mulled liquor in the cabin of the tavern. He was busting and lusting over a rash lass that's lacking cash. He found a maid well willing for much more than a shilling. He had made his selection of the dame in his direction. He would aim his erection, not to maim or to lame, but to tame with protection, to fumble and to fumble, to thrive whilst thusly alive. She took him upstairs past the tables and chairs. She got bare and with flair showed him her wares. He woke at dawn, forlorn and shorn of his stash of cash. What a hash he'd made when he'd played with the jade. The night's pleasure at leisure had taken his treasure. He felt stupid to be duped by Cupid's dart. He belched and he farted, then he dolefully departed. Far away from the day, the dragon lay asleep in a heap deep under hay and clay, in a gloom like a womb or the doom of a tomb. Gently he fumed and spumed, his snory breath bloomed, till he rose from his doze, unfroze from his nose to his toes. Perhaps I should have written this not in rhyme but in prose. He rose with elation from his station in damnation, with determination to slice the night's carapace in many a place, and erase her face from the feet to the face. He took flight like a light kite, though heavy with malice and might. From a height he did shite, but saw no sight of a night. The dragon would huff and would puff, but make no mistake, he was made of tough, rough enough stuff, to bake and to broil, not a cake nor cooking earl, not a steak, but a knight on the make, not wrapped in silver foil, but encased in steel, a real meal you might feel, for a dragon to wash down with a flagon of pale ale, or a cask of a rack or black sack. The beast roared and bellowed, he was not mellowed but soared. Loud his empty belly rumbled, fast from the sky he tumbled, and landed with a wing beat on his fleet feet in the street. Snatched a fleeing being for his meat, so neat a treat. Weighted by his cremated snack, he ascended back into the blue. From his jaws boots depended, leather so black, till his nose he blew. Boots and feet and toes away flew. The knight rode along, feeling strong, singing his song, feeling well with the world, when from the sky hurled a pair of feet upon his seat. Leather boots, of course, startling the horse which wheeled and whirled, seeking the source of the footwear, falling with force. He looked up, not a bird, but a turd, from the sky word. Without question, the gap between cremation, digestion, and evacuation in the great reptile was not a mile, but just a brief while. Up above, the dragon did decide to glide, made a wide turn, seeking something to burn, to bite or to fight. He did wheel, he caught sight of a flash of steel, it might contain a real crunchy meal. With verve he did swerve, directly descended, in fact dived and strived to set his course to the metal-clad man mounted on the mail-covered horse. As he flew in fast, he bellowed a blast of flame and fire, fueled by ire and a desire to unsettle the metal-clad figures aghast at the blast. But the aim was awry, and the fire flew past. The knight did blanch, but catched his lance to advance, shouted charge, as though the foe was large as a barge. The horse hurled himself hastily at the horrific height. What a sight, what a fright, what a fiend to fight! Claws to the left and claws to the right, sharp scissoring talons to shed gallons of blood in a flood on the mud with intestinal crud. The lance hit the side, slid inside of the hideous worm, like a toothpick in a tortoise, feeble not firm. The lance snapped, the horse cracked in great fright. The knight himself did shout from fear at his plight, as the dragon opened his maw with a roar to bite. But the knight's armour was set with spikes all about, sharp steel shafts to spear, not within but without, designed by a wizard to pierce the gizzard of a lizard. As the jaws scissored in to gnaw, the beast felt sore. Instead of a feast, his gums tore to pour with gore. At least the beast had a flaw, forcing it to withdraw. But the battle hadn't ceased, 'twas not the end of the war. The dragon's jaw was too sore to use fire anymore, and the gums were raw, but each foot had a claw. The dragon had backed, but now it attacked. Its plan was to bash, to smash, and to trash the man in his tin can, and the horse, of course, to slash and lash with its tail at the mail, to settle their hash. The knight's sword was out and whirling about, he was a stout lout with a foe to clout. Without doubt he wished dragon's blood to gout and spout. The foes clashed and smashed and slashed at each other, but the dragon had weight, and though it couldn't cremate the knight to end the fight, it had hate and a bloodlust to sate. Before the bell could knell, spell the doom of the tomb for whoever fell to find a birth in the earth and speed pell-mell to heaven or hell. The sword slashed dragon's scale, the scaly claws cut through mail. They had been fired at, now they were mired and tired near to death, with nary a breath between both. Though loath to yield the field, the two were black and blue, and grey and red, though not quite dead. And though it suffered less stress and duress, the horse nevertheless was in a mess. The knight's noddle was sore, he neared his last straw. He was unsure what was and what wasn't anymore. He backed and he hacked, scythed his sword in the air, slicing and dicing the demons that weren't there. It was almost time to score a draw when the knight fell to the floor, wounded sore, unable to rise any more. As the blood bubbled forth, flooding over his mail, he waned and wilted and turned a whiter shade of pale. The dragon dragged himself across the door on the floor, bruised and battered, bloody and sore and weary of war. But then heaved high in the sky its mighty head, and hammered it down hard to strike the knight dead. The horse, snickered and wicked, stamped his hooves on the heath by the road, stomping the heads of the head beneath, as he strove to bear his load of grief. Before the infirm worm could make any real moves, the horse hammered home hard its strong steel-shod hooves, to leave the vile reptile in a muddy, bloody pile. But 'twas a while before it raised an equine smile. So the dragon and the knight each other did say that less than gay long way day in May, leaving a forceful horse full of grass, sitting on its ass unbeaten, till at e'en it still no longer felt ill. It needed no pill and could walk away.